Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. This is my Pandarus air shipment. Came in yesterday. So, I don't know, it's a fair few boxes, right? Now that shipment took, from the time I ordered it, that's arrows flying off the back of my store. From the time I ordered it, took about 4 weeks, I'm going to guess. Probably, right? But it flew in. It takes 7 days to get in from China from the time they send it. So quick, okay? Now, back in December, because I sell lots of Pandora stuff, I ordered bulk Pandora stuff, which is here. This is a sea container. So this was ordered in December, goes on a boat, chug, 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 come the 1st of April, this arrives the same day as the air shipment. Now you're going to say, well, what's this got to do? The cost of this for freight, so it was, I think, 3 pallets of arrow shafts. Just show you the size, roughly, of them, if I can get them all down there. It's a fair few boxes anyway. Is the same as the air shipment, which is about 1/3 of the size. So what I'm trying to do is cut down freight costs, because basically this cuts the cost down to consumers. You want to keep prices as low as possible. So anyway, that's air arrived the same day. I needed the air stuff because I was out of Pandarus. Now I'm going to guess I'm going to get comments to say, well, yeah, you know, you hate Easton and all that. Now, I have in stock $100,000 worth of Easton products in stock. So when you go, well, you hate Easton, you $100,000 worth of stock, it's craziness. And you're going to say, well, that doesn't sound right. It is right. Now, when you think about this, I want you to think, these knocks here, these Easton knocks, that pack of knocks is probably $25. I've got hundreds of them, and they're $25 a pack, hundreds of them. So 10 is 250, 100 is 2,500. It might be 10 grand worth of knocks. Okay, so right, so now I want to go, just let's put things into perspective as I trip over stuff as I walk around. The Pandarus knocks, I have hundreds of as well, but these are like $10 for a couple of, so that is not much money. So my investment from a shop, I have a lot of money invested in Easton, and I can just spin around to some of my Easton stuff here, right? I have a lot of money invested in Easton, and low turnover is what I'm trying to get to. Where the Pandora stuff, probably equivalent value, probably. And in fact, I probably don't think, even though there's a 3 pallets of Pandarus there and 1 in air freight, so 4 pallets of Pandarus, I don't know if it's $100,000 worth. It might be, but it might not be. I can't remember the invoice, which sounds crazy, but it's been, I haven't actually looked at this invoice yet, right? So, because that was back in Christmas time, that I paid for it. But my point is, for a shop, because a lot of the videos I do are about shops, it's about turnover and having stuff turn over, come in and turn over. Now, for American shops, people are going to say, well, we sell lots of expensive stuff, right? Because people in America don't care about money, and we sell lots of expensive stuff, different clients. Like, we sell expensive stuff too. Like these sell off these are Victory HLRs, but they've been very popular for us. But the thing is, the average customer who walks in is like new to the sport, and it's like, well, I just want to get started in the sport. And they say, well, I want to spend, let's say, most people want to spend $300. The whole lot, kit out, arrows, release aid, the whole boat, $300. Now, I understand in America that people have got more money than us poor Australians. Although our house prices seem to be the most expensive house prices in the world. I'm not having a go at Australia versus America because we do have the most expensive house prices in the world. What I'm suggesting is if you had cheaper gear, you would get different clients in. Those clients are currently buying on Amazon. And you're probably going to say, well, they don't sell much. No, the Chinese are selling thousands of bows directly into America, bypassing the archery shops, putting archery shops out of business, instead of you going, well, actually, I'll capitalize on that, get a person into a cheap bow, and then I'll get them into more archery gear as we go on. I mean, when I came to Australia, when I came back to this state, what I saw at my mum's archery range was a lot of people buying bows off eBay. Okay, so, and they weren't set up, they were rubbish, and they couldn't shoot them because they never got taught to shoot. And I was like, well, this is rubbish. That means me as a shop, I'm failing, right? I need to be competitive to the imports from Amazon. I need to have a product which I can compete with and offer more customer service. So then when a person learns to shoot, they get better and they buy better gear. Okay? If you give up, if you're an archery shop in America and you give up and go, guess what, I'm not going to compete against Amazon. And there's a debate at the moment. I see it all on the archery forums about not competing and we only sell American-made products. And that's cool, absolutely cool. But what you're doing is you're giving up and going, I'm not supporting that. Well, then the person's just buying on eBay. That's all they're doing. They're buying on eBay, on Alibaba, on things. And I saw a whole big debate about other, like, manufacturers buying all the stock off Alibaba. I'm like, that's just craziness. Right, so Pandarus, what I'm getting at here is, for me, I need turnover, I need stuff, I need demand, I need turnover. So while it's important for me to have the top end gear, this stuff is just huge for me. It's huge. And think about keeping costs down, because costs are everything. Now, just on this, I just did a video on the Trump tariffs and stuff like that. Now, this is interesting. Trump announced today that he's matching tariffs. So at the moment, Japan imports 1 million cars into America, but Japan buys no American cars. Okay, they don't buy Chevys and Fords like we do in Australia, right? So he's like putting a 25 or 35% tax on Japanese cars. Okay, so Japan can either choose to buy American cars, manufacture cars in America. Okay, so what has this all got to do with stuff, and where am I going with this? Well, Australia has a free trade clause with America. Whether that stays or not, that's another question, because we don't make anything. We just import. We're just an importer. America makes lots of money from Australia because we basically send bugger all to America and just take all the products. What's this got to do with you, Stephen? Well, I think what's going to happen is American archery products are going to be exported to countries which have free trade, like Australia, and then from there they're going to be exported to the rest of the world to save on the tariffs. That's my latest thing that's going to happen. So how does this affect America? It probably doesn't affect too much, because that already happens. There's not a lot of exporting of archery products outside of America. Like generally American companies like Easton will ship to a couple of wholesalers around the world, and that's about it. Most of it's internal. But what it's going to do for companies like BCY, I think it's going to kind of open it up worldwide for shops like mine. Because I think, and I can already see that I am shipping a lot of Pandarus products to America. I'm shipping a lot of Pandora stuff to Europe. I'm sending a lot of Pandora stuff to Canada. So put it into perspective. How much Easton do I sell to America? 0. How much Easton do I sell to Canada? 0. How much Easton do I sell to Europe? 0. How many of these am I selling to all the countries around the world, like New Zealand, and when I say like New Zealand, around the world? Heaps. I sell heaps of Pandarus around the world. It's a big thing for me. So I'm going to say, as a shop, you want to think about how you grow your business and where you're going and what's going to change. I think there's going to be, for me, with this trade stuff that's going on, there's probably going to be another opening for exporting stuff around the world from Australia. So, because we have free trade pretty much to everyone. When I say free trade to everyone, when we ship to China, as my China shipment went back to China because it didn't make it into Australia, I got a 30% tax. So China going from China back to China because it didn't actually make it into Australia, 30% tax I got. So $30,000. That was ridiculous. But most countries we have free trade with, which means we don't tax you, you don't tax us, and because we don't make anything, we're just importing stuff. So Australia just loses out. But anyway, you've got to look for where things are going to change. For me, right now, having good exports on freight is critical for me. Having good freight into Australia is really critical. You know, when that container went back to China, that was devastating, $30,000. However, outside of that, what I got was really good freight inside Australia. I got really good export rates for freight around the world, which they're still working on, and they've like in the last 2 weeks, they've improved it out of sight for me, where now I just click on the consignment to go to America or go to Canada or wherever it's going to, or Europe, and it attaches the invoice and attaches the customs clearance, and it goes, and it's quite cheap. And I'm not having a go, and I'm not encouraging people to buy off me from Europe and all that sort of stuff, but I'm selling a lot of stuff because exporting is a bit of a pain. But the supplier I'm using, it's now a point and click, and it just magically happens. But there tends to be some issues with exporting. So just bear that in mind. If you're thinking about importing stuff from overseas, sometimes it's smooth and sometimes it gets stuck. So it gets stuck for whatever reason. Some of it's good. FedEx is very, very good, but sometimes you'll have to pay customs duty on it into your country, so just bear in mind that. So anyway, that's my Pandora stuff that I wanted to show because I'm just amazed. And it arrived in the same day, 2 shipments, 4 months apart. And I'm like, that's just crazy. But that always happens with Archery, and 2 different shippers, right? So one comes in with one freight company and this comes in with a different freight company. So it's not like they're synchronizing or they're the same vessel or anything like that. One comes in with a plane, one comes in with a boat. And I paid for this last week as far as the customs. They just took a couple of days on a truck to get from the seaport to here. So anyway, that's to all open up and go through. But yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. That's Pandarus. Pandarus is really, really good for me. Very good for exports around the world. I'm having really good success with Pandarus. And when I say success with Pandarus, archers are shooting amazing with Pandarus. I've got a young boy in Gadina, which I just mentioned in my last video, with recurve, 14 years old, and he's probably going to say he's 15 now, because for me it's all the same, because I remember him when he was 10. He shot 294 with a recurve indoors with Pandarus arrows. And I'm going to say, I'm going to say the other kids here are all shooting Pandarus arrows, all shooting Australian level records. Most of the Australian kids team are probably going to be shooting Pandarus. I'm trying to think of an exception. It's been so good. They are so affordable and such good results. I've got an Australian level archer, and he tests all the specs of the arrows, and he's like, I've never tested anything as good as this. Now, that's not on the really cheap stuff. It's just on the normal stuff. When I said normal stuff, the normal expensive stuff. He was like, oh, this is better than Easton as far as the tolerances, and sent me all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't do any of the straightness and the weights and stuff. I just go and shoot stuff. Because if I shoot a good shot, it generally goes in the middle. When I shoot a shitty shot, it goes all over the place. But he's into all that stuff. But anyway, Pandora has been big for me. It was a gamble when I took it. When I went, do I want to go down this line with Pandarus? The owner is brilliant. I mean, such good communications. Like, here's what I've got. He's happy to help out. When I say happy to help out, he said next year he will sponsor the kids with arrows. I currently sponsor them with arrows, but I'm not going to say you didn't sponsor me. I sponsored some kids with arrows. It's just such good communications for me. It's critical. It's so critical for a business that you've got a supplier who works with you, who communicates with you. Otherwise, your business literally struggles. We used to be exclusive gold tip in Australia, and then gold tip is like, well, we'll supply someone else. And that killed the brand. And then they were like, well, we'll supply everyone else in Australia. And there was a bit of a price war for a bit. And then the other guys faded away, killing gold tip in the process. And I mean, I do really well with Victory. And Easton just will never deal with me. Ever since I was a kid, doesn't matter what amount of money I throw at Easton, they're just like, we're not interested in supplying you. It's like, fair enough, okay. And for me, that's very, very hard, because it's like, well, what's your requirements? And why don't I meet your requirements? Because, I was running TV ads, I was running radio ads, I had the biggest store in Australia. Running TV ads, I had heaps of staff, a massive store, and Easton was like, no, we won't supply you. It's like, why won't you supply me? It makes no sense at all. And if you don't have suppliers supplying you, then it's very hard to have a profitable business. It doesn't matter if it's an archery business, a clothes business, a shoe business, a car dealership. Without the brands, you're buggered, right? So Pandarus for me is very, very critical. So yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. Now, Pandarus is also going to release compound bonus. They're working with apparently the top Chinese shooters. They're working with universities in China and engineers from the universities in China to develop their bows. So that's interesting for me. I don't know how it's going to go. I never know how stuff will go until it's produced, until you see it, until you test it, until it gets there, and you've got to see how the pricing is, and the pricing's got to be good, the quality's got to be good, and then it's got to be reliable. So you want some sort of backup service. But anyway, Pandarus, great. I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. Bye.